first two people that were inducted in UFC Hall of Fame was Royce Gracie. He was born on 12/12/1966 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's Royce Gracie. He's the #1 inductee of the UFC Hall of Fame. Right there is Dan Severn. There's some of his belts. But this is Royce Gracie. Right there. There's Royce Gracie. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2003. He's #1. Then #2 was also inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame, and that's this guy right here. That's Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2003. He's #2. And his birthday, Ken Shamrock's birthday is 2/11/1964. That's Ken Shamrock. And Ken is known as the world's most deadly man, or world's most dangerous man. And there. But Royce Gracie is known as a boa constrictor, like a snake, a boa constrictor, because of the way his style is. Gets you down on the ground and locks your both arms and both legs and does the boa constriction on you. And that's Royce Gracie. Most dangerous man in the world, Ken Shamrock. That guy right there. Ken Shamrock. Yep, here's the #3 UFC Hall of Famer, Dan Severn. There he is with some of his belts. That's Dan Severn, the #3 UFC Hall of Famer. And he was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2005. That's Dan Severn, the Beast, or Wild Man Dan. He's known as the Beast or the Wild Man Dan Severn. That's Dan Severn, inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame in 2005. His birthday is 6/9/1952. Dan Severn, the Beast. or Wild Man Dan. Here's the fourth inductee to the UFC Hall of Fame. The fourth inductee, Randy Couture. That's Randy Couture. And he's known as the Natural or Captain America. The Natural or Captain America. That's Randy Couture, the inductee number 4 in the UFC Hall of Fame. And his birth date is 6/22/1963. That's Randy Couture, the Natural or Captain America. Inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame 2006. Here's the number 5 UFC Hall of Famer, Mark Coleman, the Hammer. There's Dan Severn with his belts again. But that's Mark Coleman, the Hammer. Mark Coleman, inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2008. And his birthday, Mark Coleman's birthday is 12/20/1964. That's Mark Coleman's birthday, and he was inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame in 2008 as the 5th Hall of Famer. It's Mark Coleman. Here's the 6th UFC Hall of Famer, Chuck Liddell, or I call him Chuck Liddell. You can call him Chuck Liddell or Chuck Liddell. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I like Chuck Liddell, but this is Chuck Liddell is the 6th Hall of Famer, and he was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2009. Chuck Liddell. And he's got hands of stone, man. They call him the Iceman. I call him the Iceman with the hands of stone. But that's Chuck Liddell or Chuck Liddell. I think he's the baddest ass in the MMA, UFC in the world, man. Chuck Liddell. Hands of stone. The Iceman. That's why they call him the Iceman, because he knock your ass out. Be cold as ice, man. But it's Chuck Liddell, inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2009. And his birthday, Chuck Liddell's birthday is 12/17/1969. Chuck Liddell. There's Dan Severn again with his bells. Man, he's on all these. Chuck Liddell or Chuck Liddell. And that's the number 6 Hall of Famer of the UFC. UFC Hall of Fame. That's Charles Lewis Jr., number 7. He was inducted in 2009, like Chuck Liddell, and so Chuck Liddell and Charles Lewis were inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2009. And what happened is Charles Lewis was never a UFC fighter, but he used to sell T-shirts and different clothing out of a car whenever there was a UFC tournament, and then it became a multi-million-dollar business. And later on, he died on 3/11/2009, and his birth date is 6/23/1963. But he died on 3/11/2009 in a car accident. He's the guy that sold a lot of T-shirts and made the company Tap Out, a multi-million-dollar company. So it was important to the UFC to induct him as a Hall of Famer. That's Charles Lewis, and he was born 6/23/1963 and died on 3/11/2009. Therefore, he was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2009 in memory of his death in that auto accident. And he contributed a lot to the UFC with his clothing paraphernalia and making it a multi-million-dollar business of Tap Out. Chuck Lewis Jr. is number 7 of the UFC Hall of Fame, number 7. Here's the UFC Hall of Famer, number 8, Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2010. He's known as a grappler in most wins. So I call him the winner grappler, Matt Hughes. And his birth date is 10/13/1973. Matt Hughes, the grappler. And the most wins. But that's Matt Hughes. Inducted in 2010 as the number 8 Hall of Famer of the UFC. Here's a UFC Hall of Famer, Tito Ortiz, known as the Bad Boy. Tito Ortiz. He was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2012, and his birth date is 1/23/1975. That's Tito Ortiz, number 9 inductee to the UFC Hall of Fame. Huntington Beach, California Bad Boy. Tito Ortiz. Inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame 2012. The Huntington Beach bad boy of California. Tito Ortiz. Here's the UFC Hall of Famer. He's number 10 in the UFC Hall of Fame. His name is Forrest Griffin. And he was born on 7/1/1979. That's Forrest Griffin. He's a UFC Hall of Famer. And he was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame in 2013, as was Stephan Bonner. This is Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin, the Dominator. Number 10 in the UFC Hall of Fame. And here's number 11 in the UFC Hall of Fame. Stephan Bonner. And here's number 11 in the UFC Hall of Fame. Stephan Bonner. And I call him the Determinator. Stephan Bonner, the Determinator. Because he's determined, man. He's very determined. Stephan Bonner. Number 11 in the UFC Hall of Fame, Stephan Bonner. Inducted. Bonner is the 11th. The Determinator, because he's determined. And today is 4/13/2015. So that's Stephan Bonner. And he was born on 4/4/1977. And he's the 11th UFC Hall of Famer. He was inducted to UFC Hall of Fame in 2013. Stephan Bonner, the Determinator. Here's a UFC Hall of Famer. His name is Pat Militek. And he was inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame 2014. And he's known, Pat Militek is known for the correlation sensation. He's a correlation sensation, and he's also known for his own Militek fighting system. He's produced UFC champions. And that's Pat Militek. He's number 12 in the UFC Hall of Famer. He's number 12. And the latest. He's the latest UFC Hall of Famer. With his own Militek system. But his date of birth is 3/9/1966. And that's Patrick Militek, inducted to UFC Hall of Fame in 2014. Patrick Miltek. And right there he is with a couple of his belts. He was the first welterweight champion of the UFC. The first welterweight champion of the UFC and inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame 2014. It's Pat Miltek. Here is Ronda Rousey. She's the current bantamweight UFC champion, and she's the first and only bantamweight UFC champion, and she's defended her title 5 times successfully, and she's always won with an armbar. So she's known as being rowdy. She's known as being rowdy, and the arm collector. Because of her arm bars, she's won all her matches with. She won every single match with an arm bar. So she's known as being rowdy and the arm collector. That's Ronda Rousey. And her birth date is February the 1st, 1987. The arm collector. And women weren't allowed to compete in UFC championship until 2012, when they were allowed. So now women are allowed to compete in the UFC, but it isn't like when the UFC first started with a man. It's a totally different ball game. All the women have a lot of training through wrestling, grappling, judo, karate, boxing. They all have a lot of self-defense before they walk in that ring. And where the men, they can come from the bar and step in the ring and win. But now it's a totally different ball game. You got to be well-rounded. You got to have a lot of grappling skills, and judo, kickboxing, karate, and all the martial arts to compete nowadays in the UFC. And the women know that, and they've been taking it for years, and they're well-rounded before they step in that ring. But this is Ronda Rousey, UFC bantamweight champion, the one and the only. She's known to be rowdy and the arm collector because she's won all her matches with an arm bar. Here is Joanna Georgitsky. She's the current strawweight or flyweight UFC champion. She's the second UFC flyweight or strawweight champion. She beat out the first. Her birthday is 8/18/1987, and she was Poland. Joanna Georgitsky of Poland. She's the current flyweight or strawweight champion of the UFC women's division. She beat out the Cookie Monster, Carla Esperzia. Carla Esperzia, the Cookie Monster. She beat her. She was the flyweight or strawweight champion. She beat her out in March 14, 2015. And today is 4/14/2015.